Before you listen any further, pause. There is a conversation happening inside you right now. It isn't loud. It doesn't use words. Yet, it has been shaping your choices, your relationships, and your fears for decades. Most people never stop long enough to notice it. Wherever you are, take a breath and let yourself arrive right here, right now. This is an invitation to rediscover the conversation that never left you. You think your childhood is over. You think you grew up. But listen closely. The child you once were is still here, listening. Still breathing inside you. Still there in your eyes. And when you glance into the mirror, still shaping your choices, still listening for something, time became still. Something froze. One moment slipping quietly into the next. Somewhere inside you there is a younger version of yourself who learned very early how to adapt, how to cope, how to earn approval. You were given a name, told yes or no, or even maybe, shaping every step in subtle ways. Moments of truth were pushed down. The genuine self, the soulful self. What was expected began to replace who you were, dampening that light quietly and slowly. Outer voices grew louder, inner knowing grew quiet. The calm assurance you once carried, the fresh eyes you greeted each morning with, the quiet sense of a mission, a soulful mission, slowly detoured. Maybe for a long time, and now, in the stillness of your own spirit, gently sense, when did it disappear? You learned that your inner dialogue didn't matter, that it was better to be quiet, quiet. Stay small, not too tall. And your actions began to reflect that truth. Now pause. Turn this around and feel the difference almost instantly. You may have had to disappear just enough to stay safe. And no one ever told you that you didn't need to hide. Staying safe meant not asking questions. You learn to trust outside yourself. You were taught not to question. So the questions didn't vanish, they went underground into your nervous system, your reflexes, the sudden fear when nothing is wrong, the tightening chest when someone pulls away, and the ache to be enough. You don't wake up at 3 a.m. because of today. You wake up because something inside you is still waiting to be heard. Here is the illusion you were given that time heals. Time doesn't heal. Attention heals. You didn't outgrow your pain. You learned how to carry it quietly. You learned to call that maturity. But maturity, as we were taught, is often just self-abandonment. Practice until it feels normal. Beneath the practiced adult is someone still asking the same questions. Am I safe now? Am I allowed to be here? Will someone stay with me? Before you learned how to perform, before you learned who to be, before you learned which parts of yourself were welcome, you simply were. There was a time when you experienced life directly, without interpretation, without self-judgment, without needing permission. That wasn't innocence. That was clarity. That was consciousness before conditioning. And that way of being never left you. It only learned how to wait. The world taught you to edit yourself. Don't cry. Don't be so sensitive. Don't need so much. Don't take up space. And so you learn to split. There is the part of you that feels, and the part that performs, the part that knows, and the part that survives. The child didn't disappear. You simply stopped trusting that anyone would listen. So you learn to speak in other ways, through anxiety, through overthinking, through people pleasing, through perfectionism, through loneliness that doesn't always make sense. This is where the conversation begins. Not by fixing, not by explaining, but by turning toward for the first time. You stop running from feeling, and you stay. You notice the tightness, the fear and what it means, the ache. What would you be like? What would your world be like, your life be like, if there was no fear, no ache? And instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you ask something different. Who is here? Imagine this now. Someone you care about feels distant. Your body reacts before your mind can catch up. The old story starts. I'm losing them. I did something wrong. I'm about to be left. Instead of reacting, instead of suppressing, you pause. And gently, internally, you say, I see you. I know this feels familiar. I know this hurts. You don't argue with the feeling or feelings. You don't correct it. You stay. This is the conversation. Aware is not force. It is sunlight. It doesn't push the wound away. It allows it to soften. And something remarkable begins to unfold. The child inside you starts to relax, not because you are fixed, not because you were finally met. You stop shouting because someone is listening. Healing is not going backward. It is removing what was layered on top of what was always true. You are not relieving the past. No. You are reclaiming this moment. Presence. You are becoming the adult that child needed so long ago. One who doesn't disappear. One who doesn't shame. One who doesn't demand perfection in order to stay. Reparenting is not a concept, it is a way of living. Choosing rest when you are exhausted. Choosing truth when silence costs you. choosing safety over approval, saying no without explaining your worth, speaking to yourself as you would to someone you love, and slowly, subtly, something changes. You stop needing reassurance to survive. You stop collapsing at criticism. You stop proving your worth to people who cannot see it and will never see it. Not because life becomes easy, but because you are no longer alone inside it. You stop living from hunger and begin living from fullness. Notice. Creativity returns. Play returns. The body exhales. Here is the paradox. You spent years trying to become someone else, someone stronger, calmer, more acceptable. And what you discover is this. The person you were trying to become was the one you already are. Before you learned to hide, the child was never the problem. The sense of wrongdoing or abandonment was. So let this be the moment, not the end, the meeting. Turn inward, not to fix, not to analyze, just to see. See the child inside you. Doesn't really need answers. You need presence. And presence is something you can offer right now. This breath, this pause. You are not too late. You are not broken. And you are not alone anymore. The conversation has begun. Welcome home.